This week at the State House, flags were at half-staff as hundreds came to pay their respects in the State House rotunda, all in memory of the late State Senator Gene Breaux, who passed away late last month. Meanwhile, in Fort Wayne, remembrances have also been pouring in for Mayor Tom Henry, who passed away last weekend. And amidst those remembrances, there's also a conversation now about who will succeed Mayor Henry. And among those interested, a big name at the State House, House Minority Leader Phil Giaquinta, who's been head of the House Democratic Caucus now these last few years. So could there be some big implications there? Let's bring in our panel now to talk about some of this week's top stories. With us this week, we have former state party chair for the Indiana Democrats, Robin Winston, 2016 vice chair for the Indiana Trump campaign, Tony Samuel, former communications director for the Indiana GOP, Pete Seat, and UIndy political science professor, Dr. Laura Wilson. Great to have you all with us today. Robin, I'll start with you here today. Obviously, two big, very big names in your party who've passed away here in recent days. And amidst those remembrances, potentially another very big development at the State House here, if Leader Giaquinta becomes Mayor Giaquinta later this month.
Well, Senator Breaux is outstanding and a champion for so many diverse causes across the state. She followed her mother, Billie Breaux, as a state senator in Indiana. Tom Henry, if you go down and you look at the TinCap Stadium and downtown convention center, helped rejuvenate all of Fort Wayne, the GE facility and all those things, and was an outstanding mayor and truly representative of the community. And then you have Giaquinta, Phil Giaquinta running, who has Ben Giaquinta was his father, was a state representative, and Mark Giaquinta is his brother, very active in public schools in the community.
Of course, all of this, if he does become mayor, would set off a leadership vote for House Democrats to then succeed Phil Giaquinta. This week, Tony, House Democrats were also fairly vocal about their desire to try and break the supermajority this year at the State House in this year's elections. Perhaps an uphill climb, even if it were to happen, it may happen with a new leader in place potentially if House Leader Giaquinta does become the mayor there in Fort Wayne.
Yeah, good luck to them. I don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be a very Republican win in Indiana with Trump on the ticket, the governor's race. But you know, they've got a lot of young emerging leaders. Leader Giaquinta has been a great champion for their causes, for their caucus. He's a great guy. He's been great to work with from the other side of the aisle, unlike some of his predecessors, who are more bombastic. But you might see Justin Moed emerge, Kerry Hamilton, Cherish Pryor are also some names that would probably be mentioned. Justin, I think a lot of support is coalescing, could be coalescing around him.
We'll see what happens. That vote will come later this month there in Fort Wayne. Let's also talk about the race for governor. Obviously, we're a month away now from the May primary, and amidst this big news this past week about the new semiconductor plant coming to our state, we heard a lot of back and forth about Senator Braun's attendance there. He voted against that CHIPS and Science Act. And Laura, some of his opponents were pretty vocal about that this past week, including Brad Chambers.
Well, and you know, this is obviously huge for Indiana. You're talking about a $3.9 billion investment, 800 jobs. There are a lot of reasons legislators vote either in favor, oppose, support, however they're going to in terms of legislation. For Indiana as a state, certainly Todd Young as our senator championing this was very big. I think it's an important moment and really, truly the beginning in terms of like this incredible economic development for the state.
For Mike Braun being there as well, Pete, what do you make of the optics involved there amidst this very contentious Republican primary and some of his opponents kind of hitting him for, in their view, taking credit for something he voted against?
Yeah, I think it was a calculated risk on the part of Senator Braun and his team to go. They know if he shows up, they're going to get attacked. The question is, will there be dollars put behind this attack? Right now, it's gonna fall like a thud. No one's necessarily going to hear it. What the strategy, I think, from the other candidates is the political death of 1,000 cuts. They want to plant those seeds of doubt in voters' minds over and over and over again, and this might be one of those seeds that they try to plant.
And certainly, as you mentioned, it may take a lot of seeds. Braun's been the favorite in the polling. Tony, this week we also heard from former Governor Mitch Daniels saying he was unlikely to make an endorsement. Does that surprise you at all? It seemed like Brad Chambers had been hoping for Daniels' endorsement here in this primary this year.
It doesn't surprise me coming from him. I think he's always kind of, since he left being governor, kind of tried to stay out of politics. Of course, he was Purdue University president for quite some time. What I'm kind of more interested in is will Governor Eric Holcomb make an endorsement? And I think the Chambers folks are probably after that. I think others don't care one way or another. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
They're hoping perhaps to get that endorsement from the current governor. Robin, how do you see all of this from across the aisle?
Well, first off, Jennifer McCormick is doing what you have to do, and she's doing the blocking and the tackling. People underestimate this grassroots work. This is where the phones are made, the texts are made, the yard signs are made. I've seen it happen before, named Glenda Ritz, Barack Obama, Frank O'Bannon. It's happened before. Give this woman credit for what she's doing, building a grassroots organization.
They're smirking at you a bit over here,
Well, they
perhaps
can,
because
we'll
of
see you in November.
the resources that many of these Republican candidates have financially. Meantime, this week we're also talking about the internal polling numbers that we saw this past week released by Chuck Goodrich's campaign, showing what they claim to be a very close race in the 5th District. This poll had him just 3 points behind sitting Congresswoman Victoria Spartz. Pete, do you take that with a big grain of salt at this point, given it being an internal poll from Goodrich's campaign?
Internal polls have two purposes. They're either meant to tell a story, which I think this one is trying to tell a story, or they're meant to dictate expenditure decisions for a campaign. So internals can mean a lot, and they are important, but what I'm really focused on in this particular race is the Ukraine funding discussion and how it's being used as a litmus test. Instead of asking, do you support Trump or not, it's, do you support Ukraine funding or not? And that's what Goodrich is trying to use against Victoria Spartz.
He's mentioned that in his ads a lot. She voting against some of the funding there. Laura, to you next here on this race. It's certainly been a contentious one. As we just mentioned there, we've already been seeing a lot of ads on TV already.
Oh, absolutely. And this is crazy because typically when you have an incumbent running for re-election, you don't see this. But of course, saying that you're going to retire and then changing your mind makes it quite a bit different. When you're looking at Goodrich, Chanthala, obviously Spartz being the incumbent, I think you have a lot of big names. You have money in this race. And to the points made earlier in terms of the polling, I could be remarkably close for having an incumbent seeking to be reelected in that seat.
We'll see a very close poll there. Internal polling numbers, as we said. So we'll see if we see additional polling numbers on that race here in the days and weeks to come. What else are you watching for here, Robin, with a month out to this May primary?
What I'm watching for is the high number of absentee ballots being cast. I mean, we're tracking those. It's amazing the number of people that have opted for that option. I think it's going to become a way of the future. People are going to vote earlier, which is going to require strategists to go up earlier with their messaging to try to reach those thousands of people that have already cast their votes.
And Tony, very briefly here, those votes will start to be taken here this coming week with people early voting.
Yeah, I think the big story here is that governor's Republican primary, and will those attack ads from Doden and Chambers have an effect on Braun? Remember, from the polling we've seen, the undecideds are very high. I think Braun's numbers are weak, so I think they could have an effect.
We'll see what happens. Coming up next, Monday's total solar eclipse and how you can watch it happen from home. That's right after this.